Good afternoon. These are public hearings for code enforcement violations. These hearings are quasi-judicial. I am the special magistrate appointed to hear these cases. Formal rules of evidence do not apply. Fundamental due process shall be observed. Everyone who has a case today will have an opportunity to present testimony. You may present evidence or witnesses to testify on your behalf. There is no public comment portion. You must be a respondent or be called as a witness in order to speak on a specific case. Everything today is being recorded. All testimony will be under oath. When you are sworn in, please provide your current mailing address so that any orders can get to the right place. The city will present its case first, and information will be displayed on the screen. Documents may be provided by the city as evidence. The city's PowerPoint presentation will be entered into evidence unless objections are made. After the evidence, I will make a ruling. That ruling will be reduced to writing and will be mailed out to you. And let's go ahead and swear in the witnesses. If you intend to speak on your case, please raise your right hand and get sworn in. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you. I'm ready for our first case.
Good afternoon, and we're ready today. Our first case is a Massey hearing. It'll be Officer Jim Flanagan, and the case will be 1545 Kings Court. This was actually continued on based on the order, and with that, Officer Flanagan.
First thing I have is the affidavit of hearing, notice of hearing, I'm sorry, just present.
Thank you. I'll admit as Exhibit 1, the notice of hearing and the affidavit of service for today's hearing.
Okay. This was Vermont LLC. The address was 1545 Kings Court. The mail to address 1728 Kingsley Avenue in Orange Park. And this was the violation of the swimming pool. This case was originally heard on, nope, my apologies, that is wrong. He was given until September 25th to correct the issues. The issues have not been resolved as of today when I checked it. And it was, I believe you requested $100 a day. You gave him till September 25th on your last order?
Yes.
And the hearing was posted. I've had no contact with the owner. The property manager was a little upset because we didn't notify them. I reached out to them and emailed them and explained to them. I haven't heard back from them.
When did you notify them?
It was about 2 weeks ago on the date that the violation was due.
So
I informed them.
you let
I
the
saw
property
activity
manager
of chemicals, pool, like a chlorine bucket next to the pool and stuff, but when I went back today, it was in worse shape than it was 3 weeks ago.
Okay, so it's still stagnant?
Still stagnant. No pump running, no indication of repairs or anything going on at this point.
Okay. I find based on the evidence and testimony that notice was provided to respondent. Respondent did not appear. And the evidence shows that the property is still in violation. Pool is stagnant, no pump running, no repairs, and the property is in non-compliance. The fine shall be imposed and costs in the amount of $163.75 is imposed. Thanks.
Yes, ma'am, I may not have caught it, but there would be a fine of $100 per day commencing July the 25th.
Right, that, yeah.
Yep, yes,
In
ma'am.
original order, $100 a day. Yeah, that commences, yeah, I guess I should clarify that since we have two orders. So that will commence. So the first order, it's gonna commence September 25th. 26th. The 25th was the compliance date, 26th it will start to run.
Thank you.
Thanks for clarifying.
Our next case, 23-50, 4265 South Street, I have to say is in compliance, and you had ordered cost in that matter, and they've already paid those.
Great.
So if we could just get the order of compliance.
All right, we'll have a compliance order. No fine shall be imposed, but the costs that were imposed have been paid.
Yes, ma'am, of 128.53.
128.53. I'll get an order of compliance out on that one.
Our next case, 23-52, 7 Lamone Avenue, is also in compliance.
Good.
But you did order the cost in that of $216.58.
Yes. All right, so I will enter an order finding compliance. No fine shall be imposed, but costs in the amount of $216.58 will be imposed. And no one is here on that one, right?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
That takes us to our initial hearings. The first case will be 23-54, 306 South Singleton Avenue. And the officer in this matter will be Frank Lewis. And with that, Frank.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Afternoon.
Did I go too far? Yes. Here we go. This is a case of junk and debris at 306 South Singleton Avenue. The respondent is Patricia Skelly Sherrick, who is the property owner but does not reside there. She resides in Oviedo. The initial inspection was done August 17th, 23, with a notice to order to comply by 8/27. It was mailed out on 8/17/23 and certified mail signed on 9/16. The notice of hearing was posted at City Hall and hand delivered to the property where a violation exists on 9/20/23. Certified mail and first-class mail were mailed also. The violations were found during a routine inspection of the area. At the time of the initial inspection, the property had tires, vehicle parts, tools, cabinets, plastic containers, and assorted debris in the front yard and on the driveway. Re-inspections, the tires and some items were removed on August the 30th of 23. I met the owner and the tenant who is her son on site September 6, 2023, and more debris and items had been removed from the driveway. Re-inspections on 9/12 and 9/15 found little progress made. The re-inspection done when the notice of hearing was hand-delivered on 9/20/23 found improvement, but some items still on the driveway area. Like I said, I have been in contact with the tenant and the owner. That is the ordinance itself. You can see there the tires and some of the debris that was there and there. Now, this property is now in compliance. This is a compliance photo, which was September 28th, 2023. And it's still in compliance today, as of this morning.
Okay. Are we doing no fine standing order, or would we
Yes,
want-
ma'am, I just wanted for the record for Officer Lewis to say what that original date of compliance was. If I missed it, I'm sorry.
Yes, ma'am, and the correction date was September 28th, 2023. Recommendation,
No, what day did you tell him to have it in compliance by?
Your notice,
August the 28th.
Okay, thank you.
You know what, let me double check. Correction, August 27th was the initial compliance date. Okay. And like I say, the property did come into compliance. The recommendation is asking for a finding of fact due to repetitive violations at this property.
okay, so there's a pattern, a history?
Yes, ma'am. And the request that administrative costs be waived. In the defendant's behalf, the tenant on the property did suffer a leg injury that kept him out of action for about 10 days, but the property is still in compliance.
Okay. And the history is of this junk and debris? on
Yes,
the
ma'am.
property? But they comply when you give notice?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. We can do that. And is anyone here on that case?
No, ma'am. Looks like she lives out of town, and I do not think he has a way to travel.
Okay. I find that respondent was given notice of this hearing and the violation, but did not appear. I find that there is evidence of a recurring violation of junk and debris at this property and this property owner, that the original compliance date set forth in the notice of violation was August 27, 2023. Respondent did not bring the junk and debris into compliance, but did come into compliance as of September 28, 2023, prior to this hearing. That a finding of violation will be entered, however, no fine shall be imposed and no costs shall be imposed.
Okay.
Therefore, any further violations of this, at this property of junk and debris will constitute a repeat violation.
Yes, ma'am, and I explained that in detail to the property owner and to the tenant, that this was why I was requesting this,
Yeah,
to hopefully prevent this from reoccurring.
all right. Next.
Yes, ma'am. This case, 23-55, Applewood Apartments LLC, 4749 South Washington Avenue, and Kyle Mack.
Hello.
Hello.
Alrighty, so I have the notice of violation, the notice of hearing, proof of mailing, and the cost recovery.
Thank you. So for the record, I will admit into evidence as Exhibit 1, the notice of violation and the affidavit of service of that notice. Exhibit 2 is the notice of the hearing today and affidavit. And Exhibit 3 is the city's cost recovery sheet, requesting costs in the amount of $128.53.
Alrighty, so case 23-55, respondent is going to be Applewood Apartments LLC, violation address 4749 South Washington, and the mail to address of 5713 Grand Avenue, Suite B, Duluth, Minnesota. For this particular case, the violations come from the Florida Fire Prevention Code, specifically NFPA 1, which is the fire code, and NFPA 25, which is the standard for the inspection, testing, and maintenance of water-based fire systems. Specifically, NFPA 11712, which is permit shall be required. 11715, which is work without a permit, 113334191, which is fire sprinkler system control valves are clearly identified, and NFPA 255112, which is fire sprinkler system properly maintained. So for the initial inspection, August 22nd of 2023, I originally created the violation for a complaint that was forwarded to us at the fire department by the water department. They informed us that at the location, a fire line had been broken for the yacht club portion of the property. There is a Kennedy Point condo, and then there's the Kennedy Point Yacht Club. So this is specifically about the yacht club itself. Doesn't really have anything to do with the condo portion. The original date given to comply was 8/29, simply because of the damage and unpermitted repair to the fire line. We just needed some sort of permit set up so that we could go and inspect it and make sure that the repairs had been done according to the fire code. Notice to the respondent was sent out on the 22nd, was delivered on the 28th, and signed for by the agent. Notice of hearing was posted September 19th at City Hall and on the property, and certified mail was mailed 9/12 and delivered and signed for on September 25th. Myself and the fire marshal have spoken between ourselves in email and phone to the manager of the yacht club, and they've been informed of the issues. Really, the main problem being the fire line being repaired by an unlicensed fire line contractor. So we made sure that we passed all that along, and also informed them that the system that's there doesn't really have any history of being inspected, so that would have also been something that needed to be taken care of. Several emails have been sent back and forth, and they have applied for a site permit, but we have not seen anything further from them on that. Thus the case today. So, quick narrative of the violation. The yacht club has several docks on their property where boats are docked. Each of these docks is actually equipped with a standpipe, which is basically just a pipe that runs under the dock that has a hose connection at the end and another hose connection on land that would allow our engine to connect to it and flow water through the pipe so they don't have to try and run hoses all the way down the dock.
And that's to protect the docks.
Yes, if it's past a certain length, and I'm not going to try and pull that out of my head because I don't know off the top of my head, but if it's past a certain length, the standpipe is required just so that we don't have to try and run a hose hundreds of feet over the dock, and then it could fall in the water, and it makes it much simpler for us on there. Stretch a large length of hose. From what we were told by the water department, there had been an issue with the seawall, and it had been repaired without a permit. And during that process, they were excavating land, and a digger fell into a hole and crushed the fire line. That was the repair that was done by a non-fire underground contractor as determined by the state fire marshal. So that's what our concern was. According to representatives of the company, the repair was made, and then it was covered up, and we just need to make sure that it was done correctly. So moving through, the unpermitted work would at minimum need to be uncovered completely so that we can check it. More likely, it would probably have to be completely removed and redone since it was not done, as far as we know, to state fire code. The remaining system also needs to be inspected, and if any violations are found by the contractor doing the inspection, those violations would also need to be corrected to achieve compliance on this particular issue. We had made several re-inspections, several trips out there. We also have been checking the permitting system that the building department uses. And as I said, they do have a site permit that I believe was approved last week, but we have not had any underground permitting done, and there have been no reports sent to us about any sort of inspection done on that underground fire line.
So there would be a separate permit required
Yes.
for the pipe?
Yes, just for the
Water
fire
line.
line itself. That would require its own permit, a fire underground permit. One of the issues with the signage, the backflow system that would shut the water off is actually in a pit underground, and per fire code, that simply needs to be labeled so that any crews on scene can know where it is if they need to shut it off.
Okay.
So that would be included, just having a sign there for that. So conclusion of facts for the permit required, just apply for and be issued the required permits. In this case, mainly just the underground fire line permit to ensure that that was installed correctly. The work without a permit was the initial work on the fire line by the unlicensed contractor. Fire sprinkler system control valves, like I said, the FDC, which is the part that we hook up to, would need to have just a sign that says FDC and then probably docks or something, just so that we know that that's where that goes, and then have something on the underground vault just indicating that that's where the sprinkler shutoff valves are. And for the system maintained, they need to be inspected at least once a year per code, and then once every 5 years, just to make sure that there hasn't been any corrosion in the pipe to cause it to leak.
So how is that one, how do they comply with that one?
The system maintained. For that, you would just have to get with a fire sprinkler contractor and schedule them to come out and do the inspection. They would just test the valves to make sure the valves operate correctly, flow water through the system to make sure that there are no leaks, and then they would use an NFPA-approved report, and they would provide it to the property owner, manager, whoever is the contact, and then they would send a copy to us via email.
And the reason you're bringing this violation forward is you have no evidence that
That's
this has
correct.
been done.
Typically, there would be a tag attached to some part of the system. When it comes to the standpipe, in this case, they would probably have it on the backflow preventer that would shut the water off. And it's just a tag that hangs, and there is no tag down there, and we were never sent any paper reports by anyone from the yacht club. So it's completely possible they have been done, but we just don't have any proof of it. If it has been done and we get
Then
a copy
they're-
of the report,
then
then
they're
that would
compliant on
satisfy
that.
that requirement. So for the recommendation, I would ask that the respondents be ordered to correct the violation on or before November 13th. To correct, like I said, they just need to submit the required permits and have them approved, or at least almost approved. Have the licensed contractor come out, complete the inspection and any repairs. Well, complete the repairs to the underground as they deem fit to ensure that it is compliant with fire code. Have a licensed contractor inspect, test, or repair the system as needed, and then just install signs labeling the FDC and the location of the sprinkler shutoff. I would ask you to order the respondents to assess the administrative costs in the amount of $128.53, and that if the respondent does not comply by November 13th, a fine of $250 per day due to the life safety concerns for the boats and the people on them, should the violation not be completed by November 13th. And then,
Yeah.
of course, they are free to contact me by phone or email if they have any questions or concerns, and email any of the reports to us, and we can take a look at them and see if that would be enough to satisfy the inspection and testing violation.
$250 per day per violation?
I'll leave that one up to you.
Well, now.
Originally,
Under these codes,
That would-
are any of them flat fines? Or are these?
no. So the Florida Fire Prevention Code leaves any sort of fining up to the authority having jurisdiction. So we simply base any fines that we would set off of this, off of the standard code enforcement fines that they use.
Okay,
But as for all, whatever you feel appropriate, at least 250. 250 for all of them at the most extreme.
okay. We have some new law out there that requires us to have per violation
Okay.
fines, just to give people the opportunity to knock them off,
Mhm.
you know?
And drop the fines down.
Without one big lump sum fine. So, if there's a per violation number that adds up to 250 a day, then that would be fine, if that's what your recommendation is. That would require me to pull out a calculator.
Yeah, so how about we can revise that to 50 per
50 per violation.
50 per violation for, that'd be
That
200.
seems fine. That seems reasonable.
Seems fine.
All right, anything else?
Nope, that will be it.
All right, and do we have anyone here on
We do.
this?
Yeah, yes, ma'am. We have two witnesses that wish to provide testimony.
Okay. Whoever would like to come forward, and I know you were sworn in, if you could please give me your name and a business address is fine.
Okay, it's Matthew Christ Myers, Meyers. It's 857 Westport Drive, Rockledge, 32955.
And what is your relationship to this property?
What's that?
What is your relationship to this property?
I've been doing work on the property, contractor.
Are you a contractor?
Yes. So, basically, I'd just like to, hit the different points and then, from there we could go. So it says, permit shall be required. And it says down here that basically we've not been trying to get permits. I actually have the original 315 was the first time we turned in paperwork to try to get a permit. We've been going back and forth with the city. As you know, the wheels grind slow. We have on 10-6, I believe is what the fire marshal was talking about. We have an approved plan by the city, finally. Now we're getting the contractors in place for the fire line. Originally, the fire line of the dock I did myself, which was through All Florida Fire, and he is now retired. So we have to get a different contractor. That is the deal with the permit, basically. We have started, we're working on it. It says work done without a permit. That would be the next one. There was no work done without a permit. I understand that there's been a lot of miscommunication. I actually have a picture here. I'm gonna give you a couple of them. These pictures show that basically what we've done is the lines were open, the water line. In order to build the wall and put it back, everything had to be filled back in. That's all that was done, is filled. The actual lines haven't been touched.
Okay.
The gray lines are electric lines, the bluish green line, that's the water line. And you can see it's still open there. So it has been buried. Ashley from the water department does know this, that it's open, and that's the reason that the city has the water shut off. So there's not actually any work been done without a permit, other than backfilling, and that didn't require a permit to backfill. We had the permit to repair the wall.
Okay, so if I get this right, you're saying that the inspector had indicated that the water department contacted the fire department to
Right.
say that the line was broken,
Correct.
and it's your testimony it was not.
No, it is broken.
Oh, okay.
But we didn't repair it. All we did was just cover it up in order to do the repair on the wall. And what had happened is the water line had separated, and the bulkhead wall, it was pointing straight at it. So with a 6-inch line, or no, 8-inch line, it basically just took the whole wall, bent it, and then crumbled it, and so we had to repair it. We
Okay.
had DNR, everybody all over us to get that taken care of. That was taken care of. In order to do that, then we had to fill that in, just not only for liability purposes. So whatever's separated down there still is, and that's why they want us to dig it up, which we have no problem with at all.
Okay.
But as you well know, that would be the work without a permit. We can't dig it up and do anything until they issue the permit. We have the plan okayed on the 6th. We're working on the permit. We have, just to give you an idea, I don't know if anybody wants to see it, but this is the compliance with the fire marshal of having a fire watch. So we have sheets where 24/7 someone's there watching to make sure there's no fire. So we've done everything to comply with that. At this point, really what I would ask for is that we're saying 11/3, I believe, is when it has to be corrected.
No, I'm sorry, it's wrong.
11/3 is when it's showing that it needs to be corrected, otherwise the fines start.
13th, he
13th?
had recommended the
Yeah.
13th that you get it all,
Yeah,
get your permit
we just
submitted.
now got this okayed for the plan, which now we have to have the contractor submit for the permits. If we get the permits by 11/13, I'll be amazed. what I'm asking is, could we at least get 90 days extension on this and revisit it at that point, that we should have it done by then with the permitting? Because that's all we're waiting on. We're ready to do the work tomorrow if we had a permit, but it's not working out so well
And this is a permit for,
for both the fire and the water. We have a, let me get it here.
well, the permit has to be from someone certified in fire
Yes.
repair.
Right, which we have the,
And then, of course, once you receive that, they would then re-inspect the work that was done prior to, without the permit.
well, there was no work done other than burying it, that's what I'm saying.
Well,
Whatever lines are open are open.
That would be work, in any event.
Right, yeah, and that, when we're happy to, but, so this has
Correct.
been submitted to the city and was okay, this is the
Okay.
plan.
No,
So-
no. And again, I'd have to rely to the expert in the fire, which is Kyle Mack. I'm
Right.
not a fire person.
Right, well, let's say tomorrow that we had our contractor, the plan's been approved, but tomorrow we have the contractor. How long to get a permit?
That would, it would depend. I mean, I can't give you a certain amount.
But it wouldn't be within 30 days, I doubt, would it?
Again, I really don't know. I mean, we can get it reviewed fairly quickly, but I'd ask for help.
Right, so that's what I'm saying, that's why I'm just asking if we can get 90 days before these fines start.
I think that the city's concern is if there's not functioning water there, if
So
there
that's
is a
why we have the
fire.
fire watch, that was the folder with everything that they asked for.
24/7.
So-
And again, ma'am, I'd have to rely for Inspector Mack to wait for his to finish.
Absolutely,
And then any rebuttal that he may have, I'm just not the expert in that field to provide that.
absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, we're
yes.
doing everything we can, in other words, to comply, but we're being held up in paperwork. So, we're not,
Got it.
so any type of extension that you could afford us would be greatly appreciated.
Has Fire Inspector Mack seen these pictures yet? I'm going to go ahead and put your pictures into evidence as Respondent's Composite Exhibit 1.
Yeah, and we just, the way that is right there, it's been buried that way. We've not done any repairs to anything. So that, I think, is where the confusion comes in, and I can understand why the fire marshal would be upset if, you got Joe Blow doing some repairs.
Oh, yes, sir.
Yeah.
Excuse me, did you want to see the fire?
I don't know that I would,
Basically,
Need
it's
to see
somebody
that.
signing off that says they're there 24/7,
But-
they're
but
certified.
You're not here to testify.
but I would like Inspector Mack to take a look at that, and I would trust his judgment if he feels secure that that's
He's-
sufficient.
They were required to do so.
Yeah,
Okay.
so we have done everything that's been asked as far as that, and like I said, that's,
It's
at this
called a
point,
fire
if-
watch? It's called a fire watch?
it's called a fire watch. Basically, they do it on, let's say you gotta shut down and replace a valve on a condo.
Mm-hmm.
They want somebody there, so if there's a fire that starts, it alerts everybody, evacuate the building, let's get the fire department here and put the fire out. So
Okay.
it's the same thing. If there's a fire, we want all the boaters to know, everybody evacuates and we get the fire put out.
Okay, so assuming that addresses the city's concern about there not being.
Right,
there
not
might-
having, anything.
Protection.
Any protection,
Right.
correct.
So let me condense it if I can. You are in the process of hiring a licensed contractor. You have
For
to
the fire, yes,
hire a new one for the permit for the fire line.
correct.
Yes, and you did not repair the line.
No,
It's
we
just
haven't-
been buried over.
We buried over, it's all open, whatever's there is there.
Okay, and then you can address the city's concern about whether there's going to be some kind of protection with the fire watch. And then lastly would be the identification, the sign.
Yes, that, basically, what he said was that is in a pit.
Mm-hmm.
And we're actually taking the valve, which is part of the new one, we're gonna put the backflow out of the ground, which is pretty standard. They've had any of the old ones taken out of the ground anytime that there's a problem with them. And we know this is an old valve, so we're just replacing it as part of the permit.
Okay, and then finally is the maintenance, the fire sprinkler system maintenance, that there's no record that that has been done.
I don't have it with me today, but that, we do have some old records where it shows it, but being that it's in a pit, it very well could have been overlooked, but we are curing that problem.
Okay, so I think I understand. Inspector Mack, would you like to follow up on anything? And if you have anything else you want to add, just,
Okay.
let me know, let me know.
All righty, thanks, I appreciate it.
All right, so let's see. So for the permit still required. For the work without a permit, so there was no repair done to the lines?
No, it's been buried, so, I mean, I talked to
Okay.
Paul, I think, about it. I said, yeah, we'll dig up the whole thing when
Okay,
it
but
comes
there,
time.
as long as there hasn't been any work.
No,
on it.
no,
Okay.
no, and that's why we can't just turn it back on, because
Right.
water come out everywhere.
So with that, how about we remove the work without a permit? For the permit required, I would recommend that remain on there just until the permit is
Right.
issued. Valves clearly identified.
So, again, it'll be above ground.
Yeah, we'll think about that one. But then for the system properly maintained. So how about we remove the work without a permit? We will leave 1, 3, and 4 for the moment.
Okay,
Once you submit send me whatever inspections you have. I'll look at those. If those are within the appropriate amount of time, we can knock that one off. But the valves identified and the permit, I mean, those will have to be there until.
yeah,
until that's done.
we're working on getting
So-
that done, so,
For the moment, how about we just remove violation number 2, because it does not seem as though the work had actually, no work has actually been done. And then, how long do you think before you will actually have the submission for this?
the submission for the permit? I would say by next week, well, that submission for the permit, that's no problem, but
Yeah.
actually getting the permit, that's a different story.
So for that, really, we should be the only ones needing to look at it.
Okay,
So how about, we'll leave it at the 30 days,
okay.
submit it, and and really,
And then
as
at
soon
the end of
as,
the 30 days, we
yeah.
can remove it.
Yeah.
Great,
because
yeah.
as long as that the submission, because once the permit's required, that one's done. Send me the inspection reports, and then if all of the stuff is good within the 30 days, we can go ahead and knock those last 3 off.
great, yeah. Yeah, I was just concerned that they wanted the work done in that amount of time. It's like, I don't think
No.
I'll have the permit issued.
As long as you would have the permit issued and maybe like
And
have
it's
a
in place,
contractor
right. Okay.
in place.
Great, yeah, that's,
Is that workable?
yeah, wonderful.
So, there we go.
I appreciate it.
I love it when everybody can agree. All right, anything else from either
I'm good to
party?
go.
Good.
Okay, all right, I will go ahead and enter an order. I will find that the
Thanks, Mike.
respondent was given notice of the violation and notice of the hearing, and did appear, a representative for respondent did appear, that based on the testimony of both parties, I find that there is a violation of permit shall be required. There is a violation of the clearly identified fire sprinkler system, and there is a violation of fire sprinkler system properly maintained. However, that last one could be removed pending further information provided to the city. The respondent is provided until November 13th. That would be the date that we would next have a hearing. In November 13th to comply, and failure to bring those 3 violations into compliance by November 13th, we would have to have you back here on November 13th, where we would have another hearing to determine whether a fine should be imposed, and if so, the recommended fine is $50 per day per violation for each of the 3 violations. costs in the amount of $128.53 are imposed. Those are the city's costs in bringing the case forward. And hopefully the two parties can work it out, and then no fine needs to be assessed at all. And if there's any questions, let me know.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Appreciate everyone coming in.
You have a great afternoon.
Thanks.
I don't have any report for this month, but the Assistant City Attorney does, so I will turn it over to her, ma'am.
Oh, delightful.
Just a quick update for anyone who may be listening in the community. The city has our code enforcement lien amnesty program, and it is set to expire on October 27th. And so if there are any final attempts at getting into that program, they must be made immediately.
And
Thank
that involves filling out an application.
Contacting my office and/or code enforcement to express the desire to participate. All of the criteria must be met in order to be eligible. The criteria being that property taxes must be paid in full, no past due debts owed to the city of Titusville, and of course, most importantly, that the entire property is in compliance with the Code of Ordinances and Land Development Regulations. All three of those things being met, then they can achieve eligibility and proceed with the amnesty, which is, again, according to criteria for that payment.
That's a great program. I hope everyone
We've had
who's
great
eligible
success
will
with it.
apply.
Yeah, thank you.
Good. Thanks for letting us know. All right, if there's nothing else, then we're adjourned.